Hey guys, Ted here with another Dundon Motorsports Minute. Today we're talking about brakes, specifically how to bed in brake pads. Every manufacturer has their own guidelines, so we're first going to say probably default to your manufacturer's guidelines for bedding in brakes. But the general theory is bring the brake pads up to temperature and let them cool down without coming to a stop. What we're trying to do is we're trying to transfer a very small amount of material to the rotor to create that bed, that relationship between pad and rotor so that they're blended nice and smoothly without transferring too much so that you don't get vibrations. Most of the time what you're going to do is you're going to accelerate up to highway speeds, you're going to give the brakes nice firm pressure, and then you're going to bring the car down to a near stop without coming to a complete stop. You're going to do this several times. Anywhere from 5 to 10 times is typically good. The big indication, what you'd like to do is you're going to want to smell the brakes, but you don't want the brakes to fade too much. A little bit is okay. That's an indication that you're getting some good temperature into the system, but you don't want the pedal to go completely soft. So bring the pads up to temperature with several deceleration efforts like that, and then you're going to want to drive the car for several minutes following that to get air over them, to cool the brakes off, bring them all the way back down to a normal, cool temperature so that you can touch it without coming to a stop. Once the brakes have cooled off, you can come to a stop, and then you're good to go. All right, so for those of you who drive your cars only on the racetrack, or if you have a race car, your ability to follow a standard bed-in procedure is a little bit restricted. The racetrack folks don't want you out there doing 10 stops from 60 to 5 miles an hour. So instead of doing that, what I like to do is I like to treat the first session of the day with a brand new set of pads and rotors as the bed-in procedure. I'll go out and slowly warm the car up over the course of a couple laps. So I'll take 2 or 3 laps, braking at a 2 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10 for the first lap, brake at a 4 or a 5 out of 10 on the second lap, brake at a 6 or a 7 out of 10 on the next lap, and then give 1 lap at full pace. And then I'll take 2 to 3 full cool-off laps, again, depending on the length of the lap. Get the brake pads fully hot. You'll know by how they smell. And then get the pads fully cold, so when you come in, you're not getting any pad transfer. And that's usually the way that I approach it with a track-only car. That way you get good warm-up, you get good pad transfer, that is the good material gets transferred to the rotor, so you have a nice mesh between the two surfaces, and then you get them fully cooled off so that when you come into the pits and park the car, you don't have a hot spot on the rotor that will leave pad transfer, which can lead to vibrations, which can lead to a cracked rotor, depending on the situation. And that's usually a good way to go about getting your track pads bedded in if you don't have the opportunity to do it on the street. At Dundon, we get a lot of questions from our customers. We specialize in Porsches, and a lot of the factory GT cars come with a ceramic composite brake setup. Now, these brakes are really great for street use. They've got excellent bite, they last a long time, and they're super lightweight. But they're very expensive to replace, and a lot of people consider the ceramics as part of the resale value and whether or not they're in good condition. So what we find is that a lot of our customers come to us and ask us for resources and opinions. Should I switch out to steel rotors and a different brake pad and leave my stock caliper, which is an option? And many of our customers have found the same result that we have. We've got our 2 track cars here. We've got the 718 GT4, and we've got the Lab Rat 991 GT3 RS. And what we ended up landing on was switching to the Essex Racing AP Radical brake kit, which replaces the rotors and hats, the calipers, and the brake pads. There's a few reasons why we do this. Varying orders of priority for different people, but for what we found is the cost is actually less than replacing a set of the ceramics. So you pull your ceramics off, you put them on the shelf, keep them nice for whenever you're ready to move out of that particular car, and they're brand new. And then from there, we also find that the steel rotors and this setup are actually lighter than the ceramics, partially because they're a little bit smaller, which also allows us to fit a 19-inch wheel. Another reason why we like the AP setup so much is there's lots of different pad options, and the pads are really easy to change. Come with me up to the front and we'll change the front brake pads out. We'll show you how that works. Super easy, takes a lot less time to do that if you're planning on driving the car on both the track and the street. All right, like I mentioned, for those of you who like to drive your Porsches on the track and the street, as well as maybe like to do a little bit of your own work, one of the key benefits of this AP Radical kit is that it's super simple to change the brake pads. On the factory setup, you actually have to remove the entire caliper from the hub to get the pads out. On this AP kit, all you gotta do is crank the wheel over, remove the back cover here, the retaining pins, and the pads simply slide out, and you can swap your street pads out, put them back in, put the screws back in with the brace, and you're off and running. So it's literally, 10 minutes instead of an hour. So that's one big benefit, in addition to, saving weight and keeping your ceramic bits nice, and being able to run a 19-inch wheel for more affordable and more variety of tire selection. All right, guys, so in today's episode, we talked about bedding brake pads on the street, bedding brake pads on the racetrack, and some alternative options for your factory braking systems. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.